Hey everybody, welcome to the Jimmy Dore Show. I'm Aaron Maté, guest hosting for Jimmy. But guess what? We got the man himself in studio today. Jimmy, how you doing?
Oh, it's been a great vacation. I didn't time this well. I didn't know that the big story that involved me would be happening right now. But here we go. Let's do it.
You're like Carlito, like just when you thought you're out, they pulled you back in.
That's right. They bring me back in.
Well, this was an amazing story to do with you today. We couldn't do without you. This is what's going on right now in Congress, where Kevin McCarthy is being denied the House speakership as we're recording this. Because a group of House Republicans are using their leverage. They are trying to extract concessions from Kevin McCarthy, which is exactly what Jimmy was advocating back during Force the Vote. So here is one of the latest tallies. McCarthy appears not to have the votes. And he's because a group of Republicans are demanding concessions from him. They want, for example, the right to be able to vote out the speaker. They want the right for bills to be publicly posted at least 72 hours before they're voted on. They want the bills to only focus on one issue instead of a bunch of bills being crammed into a bunch of issues being crammed into one bill. And they also want to do things like that progressives don't agree with, such as cutting food stamps. But the point is they're using their leverage, which progressives refuse to do. So here's a headline from CNN. House adjourns after chaotic day without electing a speaker as McCarthy fails to lock down votes. McCarthy faces a small but determined contingent of hardline conservatives who are intent on denying him the votes to secure the gavel. The top House Republican has defiantly vowed to stay in the race as he continues his increasingly imperiled bid for speaker. But the longer the fight drags on, the more uncertainty there is over whether he can win. The last time an election for speaker went to multiple ballots was in 1923. And let's go to Matt Gaetz, who was among those leading the charge against Kevin McCarthy. And this is what he said on the House floor.
Maybe the right person for the job of Speaker of the House isn't someone who wants it so bad. Maybe the right person for the job of Speaker of the House isn't someone who has sold shares of themselves for more than a decade to get it. Maybe Jim Jordan is the right person for Speaker of the House because he is not beholden to the lobbyists and special interests who have corrupted this place and corrupted this nation under the leadership of both Republicans and Democrats.
Now, can I just say, first of all, it's good to see Matt Gaetz is going to Jackson Hinkle's barber. Secondly, that's exactly the kind of stuff that we expected AOC and the squad to be saying.
Yep.
And calling out. That's because that's what Bernie Sanders did on the campaign trail in 2016. He was calling out the corruption in the Democratic Party, which is the real reason why we can't have nice things. We always know there's going to be a right-wing party, but there isn't a left-wing party. And that's what to see him do that, I was imagining if he was a Democrat doing that about Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer and Joe Biden, and I got a tingle. And I can imagine how right-wingers feel watching these people do this, which is why they're standing up and they're not going to cave. It's what it seems like, they're not going to cave, but they haven't today.
I mean, can you imagine a member of the squad getting up in the House and calling both parties corrupt? Basically pointing out that they're a uniparty. They would never do that, ever.
You mean the stuff that AOC said when she was campaigning?
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, that stuff's, that's saying that with the Democratic Party is a center-right party. There's a right-wing party. She said it.
Yeah. But she would never say that on the House floor.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
And not anymore. Not now. And now even look at them. They're all united behind the biggest corporate tool in Congress, which is Hakeem Jeffries next to Nancy Pelosi. So they went from one horrible swamp creature to another horrible swamp creature. And without a fight, without anything, without putting up their own candidate, without doing anything. There's supposed to be 100 members of the Progressive Caucus?
Yeah. That's right. In this round of voting, all the Democrats have voted for Hakeem Jeffries, even though Hakeem Jeffries has campaigned against the squad.
Against them.
He's tried to kick them out of Congress, basically. He's tried to get them voted out.
And he speaks about them the way the Republicans are speaking about Matt Gaetz today.
Yep, that's right. Here's Lauren Boebert, another member of this rebel coalition.
Let's stop with the campaign smears and tactics to get people to turn against us. Even having my favorite president call us and tell us we need to knock this off. I think it actually needs to be reversed. The president needs to tell Kevin McCarthy that, sir, you do not have the votes and it's time to withdraw. And with that, I yield. Thank you.
What's crazy is he doesn't have the votes, and people are trying to pretend like this is. I saw an article by that Greenfield guy who used to be on Nightline calling it minority rule. And no, this is literally majority rule. That's why he can't become speaker, because he can't get a majority. That's the whole point of majority rule. And they're trying to pretend that this isn't. This is exactly what this is. This is democracy in action. And this is what's supposed to be happening. Democracy is supposed to be messy. And you're supposed to stand up for what you believe in. You know, we don't have a representative form of government in a sense that in a parliamentary system, here we just have winner take all, right? So if 40% of the country has a certain political view, you don't get any seats. Do you know what I mean? So this is what it's supposed to be. This is what it's supposed to look like. Democracy is supposed to be messy, but we have a uniparty, and that's what he's actually calling out. That's what Matt Gaetz is actually calling out. And I couldn't believe that I was getting enthusiastic. It was like, oh my God, wouldn't that be? It's great to see someone in power standing on the floor of Congress calling out the uniparty. It's amazing to see, but it's only going to come from the right wing, because the left wing are now also right wingers, right? I mean, what the squad is doing is just nothing but supporting authoritarianism and oligarchy and corporatism. That's what they're doing, and they're war pigs on top of it. So the only kind of pushback against the establishment is now coming from the right wing of the Republican Party. Isn't that which is horribly sad?
It's crazy, and you can't even pin this on Trump, as I'm sure many people want to do, because as she talks about there, Lauren Boebert says there, Trump called them and begged them to vote for McCarthy, but they're saying no, and Trump is the leader of their faction. Right.
So Trump sees that this as a loser for him in the election coming up, which it probably is, right? Yeah. And because he already has the people like Matt Gaetz, they already like Donald Trump. You know what I mean? He doesn't have to go get those people. Yeah. He has to go get the never Trumpers.
Here's Matt Gaetz talking more about what he was told behind the scenes.
But we were threatened by my committee chairman to be on the Armed Services Committee, Mr. Rogers, that if we did not vote for Mr. McCarthy, we would be removed from committees. Our position is that if Kevin McCarthy is the Speaker of the House and we don't have an ability to ensure that there is oomph behind the agenda and energy behind our oversight, that the committee assignments don't mean that much anyway. I'm not here to participate in some puppet show where we pass a bunch of messaging bills, send them to the Senate, watch them die, fail to use leverage, and don't hold the Biden administration accountable. I don't want to relive the Benghazi experience where it's just theater pretending to be oversight, right? We can do better than that, and that's our purpose today.
They seem sincere. The thing about these people is they seem sincere, right? Like they do. They don't seem like they're actually, they're not doing it at the behest of a corporation, because the corporation wants McCarthy to become speaker, just like the corporation wanted Nancy Pelosi to become speaker. So I think they actually are sincere. What do you think?
They sound sincere to me too. I mean, I don't know what's in their head, but this looks like a genuine revolt. I mean, this has gone through 6 rounds of voting now, all the pressure in the world, including from their guy, Donald Trump, and they're still holding resilience. So yeah, that speaks to me that they're being serious here. And you know what he says there about we don't care about committee seats. One of the reasons why I think the squad caved to Pelosi back then is because they were maybe dangled some, or they thought they could get some committee seats, but they couldn't even get that.
They took their committee seats away. Even after they voted for Nancy Pelosi, they got less than nothing. They got negative demands.
And what he says
when they had all the leverage, we're going to talk about it more next segment.
But what he says there about Benghazi, too, I'm not sure if he is aware if this is what he means, but his point about the Benghazi hearings is right, where it was a circus because it actually distracted from the real issue, which is that Benghazi, this town in Libya, where the U.S. ambassador and 3 others were killed, the Benghazi consulate was being used to run guns to Syria for the dirty war in Syria, to arm the sectarian death squads that the U.S. was supporting in their regime change war against the Syrian government. And Christopher Stevens was there at the Benghazi consulate to take part in that operation. And the Benghazi hearings completely covered that up. And Republicans, they took part in that. They didn't go deep into the actual issue, which was Benghazi was a gun running operation to fund the dirty war in Syria. And Christopher Stevens, the U.S. ambassador, was involved in that. So I'm not sure if that's what he was referring to in saying that Benghazi was just a circus, that it didn't go far enough. But if that's what he means, then he's dead on.
Who knows? I think that's what he means.
Yeah. All right. Well, look, one person pushing back on all this is Marjorie Taylor Greene. She is taking the side of Kevin McCarthy. This is what she said.
There's many more. Bob Good, $2 million from Kevin McCarthy to get elected. Lauren Boebert, under $2 million from Kevin McCarthy to get elected. Many more people have taken Kevin McCarthy's money to get elected, and then there's a few of them that don't want to support him as Speaker. So imagine that. This is not anything about the country. This is all about never Kevin. They just don't like Kevin McCarthy. And you cannot be successful in anything if you aren't able to walk in a room, make what you want, and get a deal done, and then walk away with the W and get to work and not worry about who you like and who you don't like. This is not about prom king. This is not about a pastor. This is about electing a person to sit in the Speaker chair so that we can all get to work. And out of 222 Republicans, let me remind everyone, there's 218 votes to get something passed. That means all of us are powerful, every single faction in the Republican Party. So there's not going to be a tiny little group that is going to demand their way because they want subcommittee chairs and they want certain power positions. That is not how this works. And that is the worst thing they could do for the country. And I'm furious over it, and I'm going to continue calling them out. We will be fighting this out. We'll see what happens.
No, I'm not a master legislator like Nancy Pelosi or Marjorie Taylor Greene, but I'm pretty sure that is how it works. And when she said this is not how it works, it's actually exactly how it works, because that's how it's working right now. And if it didn't work like that, you guys would already have a speaker. But I don't know if you noticed at the beginning of the clip, she let the cat out of the bag about the whole way government works. Why is Kevin McCarthy Speaker? Why is Chuck Schumer Speaker? Why is a guy like Mitch McConnell Speaker? A guy you wouldn't ask directions to the freeway from, right? How do they become Speaker? They're the most corrupted people in Congress. Kevin McCarthy, Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, Mitch McConnell. These are the biggest hooers in Congress, meaning they take all the corporate money and they're in the pocket of the oligarchy. And so when they have all the money, they then distribute that money out to all their colleagues so they can go get elected. And then they owe them a favor because they just gave them all that corporate money. And that's how they become leader. And she's saying that, hey, if you take the $2 million, you got to vote for them. This is how a government works in the United States. Corporation pays us money. We distribute that money to the legislators, and then we vote on stuff in the way that the guy who gave us the money wants us to. And that's how we get 80% of workers living paycheck to paycheck, $100 billion going to Ukraine, while everybody's living under every bridge in this country. That's how that happens. She let it out of the bag. She just said it. He gave you $2 million. You're supposed to vote for him. Everybody, we're doing live stand-up comedy in Los Angeles in January and February in Los Angeles. And then we're going to Tempe, Palm Springs, Milwaukee, Minneapolis, Nashville. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for all those tickets and become a premium member while you're there.